All right, so just a warning that we are recording, so anything you say can and will be used against you. We don't know for what, but for something. Okay, so I'm going to throw a little bit of a chat out there, but I'm going to do a little refresher of what we've done in the last two previous sessions. And then today we're hoping to get through the most part of the React application. The whole intent of going through these sessions the way I'm going through them is for you to get an idea of how things fit together and work and whatnot. Um, I'm not going to try to make them production quality by any stretch of the imagination. In a 2-hour session, it's almost impossible. And I'm trying to run section by section by section. So today we're hoping to complete the React part. And again, we won't have it totally complete, but we'll have it sort of in starting shape. I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to sort of show you how I have got my browser set up, and I'm going to kind of go from there. We'll do a refresh of where we were last time, and then we'll just rip on and start writing some code. Is that fair for everybody?
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, and again, I cleaned it up a lot before I showed you guys, but this is typically how my browser opens, okay? And I have pinned, and then if you right click on top of this, you can pin tabs. And the advantage of pinning tabs, this is a pin tab, this is an unpinned tab. So if I click on that, I could pin that. But the advantage of having pinned tabs is I always have the same 4 tabs always across the tab. I've just added a new one lately, which is my LinkedIn. But so therefore, I always know this has got my links to everything I want to go to. I write some notes about what I want to go through with you guys today. So this is basically my to-do list with all my links. And then I have my personal email, my EvolveU email, my any of pings or all my Basecamp stuff, and then anything that I'm happening to do on LinkedIn at the time. A good friend of mine just published an article, and then I don't know if you guys had a chance to see, but I put a video out of hang gliding in Alberta, sort of my flights over the last little while. So the cool thing about this is now I always know where these 5 tabs are, because we live in our browser. I live in my browser now. I live in VS Code and I live in the browser, so I want really quick access to everything. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to go and figure out where we were before we ended last time. I'm going to go to our files and docs. And again, somebody asked me that I went through this right from the very beginning. Now here we've got our technical competencies, and this takes you straight to the backlog. Now again, I'm much too lazy to put that many clicks in. So in my link, have a direct link, curriculum 4, which takes me direct here. I would never go through that on a daily basis. I have direct clicks to get me here, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the video sessions with Larry. Some of the videos, again, Roman has a section, I've got a section, and some of the videos in here, they're kind of not matching directly to the competencies. They're kind of overviews of things that we're doing on both of us. So if it was specific to a competency, I would put it here. If it wasn't specific to a competency and worked better, I was putting it in here. Okay, video sessions with Larry. And inside of here, it's got the video sessions. I haven't got the ones prior to this. I'll start putting those in as I get a chance. And this is the 3rd in the building web applications or the architecture or full stack or whatever we wanted to call it. So what we're recording right now, I will click on here and it'll be recorded there. You'll be able to get to it. What I'd like to do is we built a little bit of a presentation. This was kind of our, if we were doing real design like design should be done for web applications, it would be done over a beer on a napkin, and we would handwrite on it, and we kind of post that magnet up to a whiteboard, and that would be our initial design. But we had to do it this way because we are remote. Okay, so this is our full stack web app. What we decided to do, because we have lots of oil and gas people in the background and I wanted to do something interesting and a little different, we decided to do a pipe app. And our whiteboard discussion was just the ability of being able to build a pipe infrastructure. And we decided to make the pipe infrastructure go in circles, okay, which is a little ridiculous. but again, we wanted to do it. So we've created a closed cycle, okay? Just because of something interesting to do. And by the way, a lot of the times when we do these types of application, I do this for my benefit to add something interesting on it. Otherwise, I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and I only can do things once. All right, we talked a little bit about inserting. So if we had two pipes and we wanted to insert one, we had to change the pointers. So this basically was a linked list exercise. I wanted to show the linked list. So this entity actually, the next points to this guy, its previous points to this guy's next points to this guy, and previous points to this guy. So if this guy wasn't in there and we wanted to insert it, we need to, instead of having these two point to each other, we actually have this point to this one point to this one point to this one, and this one point to this one. And I think that all makes sense. So a little bit of pointer logic there. And we explain the insert. All right.
Hi, Larry. Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, for sure.
In your implementation, you chose to do kind of a circular linked list.
Yeah.
As opposed to having like a head and a tail. So I'm just curious about that.
Why did I do that?
Yeah.
The main reason I did that, I'm going to be honest, is I didn't want to give everybody the answers to the problem.
Oh.
I wanted to explain everybody the concept of how it worked. But again, the whole idea of putting those competencies out there is for you to do problem solving, because I look at being able to write syntax is a tool. Being able to do a dictionary or a map or an array or all those kinds of function, React, JavaScript, Python, those are all tools. So those are all hammers and whatever, toolboxes and whatnot. But to actually build a house is your ability to be able to take those tools, put them together, and do something, right? So what I'm trying to do is never give the direct answer to the problems. I'm trying to just give, oh, okay, that's how that works. And that's what I wanted you guys to get to is, oh, that's how it works. And so if I can help you hone your tools, so you see when you should use a screwdriver, when you should use a sledgehammer, when you should use a mold driver, that would be awesome. Right? Not necessarily give you the answer. I don't want to give you the house. I want to give you all the tools that you need for the house. That's a little bit of a long explanation, but does that make sense? And I think it's important that everyone understand that.
Thanks, Larry.
Okay, so we talked about the simplest case where we just had one pipe where it pointed to itself. So its next pipe was itself, its previous pipe was itself. And then when we inserted the second pipe, then its next pipe was this pipe, its previous pipe is this pipe, and vice versa, okay? So we talked about current, next, and previous. So we implemented those. And this guy, when we talked a little bit about, this was a little bit about an object design. What would we keep in our object? We would keep the ID, the length, the diameter, the quality, the next pipe, and the previous pipe, okay? And here's where we're going to start today is, and I just did a weensy bit of a wireframe. And again, wireframes are intended, I have a love-hate relationship with designers, okay, with user interface designers. First of all, I absolutely love them, and I love working with them. That's full stop, period. What I have a problem with is when they come up with these incredible great designs and they just give them to you and say, you have to do this. If you work with a designer together, so for example, in this particular case, I wouldn't want someone to give me you have to do this wireframe. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to play around with a little bit of code, get a rough idea of how I would like to do it, and then give it to the designer and say, okay, roughly here's how we'd like to put it together. Because sometimes they can come up with designs that are incredibly difficult to implement, super, super, super hard to implement. And they're really no better from a user interface experience than ones that are really easy. And when I say the difference could be like a couple hours, like today we're going to do the React component, we'll do it in a couple hours. But I have got designs given to me that have taken me weeks, literally weeks to do, where I could have done them in literally an hour or two, okay? So it's just something I want to be a little bit careful with. I love designers because some of the stuff they come up with just amazing. And man, if you can work together with a good one, it's just worth its weight in gold. All right. So what I was thinking about is this pipe link. What we're going to do is we're going to show the current pipe info. One of the things I do not want to do with a linked list is show every item on the linked list, okay? What I want to be able to do with exercises with linked lists is the ability to be able to show the current one and be able to go previous, next, and develop a new one. And then we'll talk a little bit, we haven't talked about this at all yet, this little concept about a project. So a lot of applications that I've written have the idea of a project. And the project would be, so for example, I might sign out or check out a pipe infrastructure. I might work on that pipe infrastructure, I might put it back. That pipe infrastructure might have a name. And I could be working with, let's say, a couple hundred engineers. We're all working on different pipe projects, and we put them in, take them out, put them in, take them out. So we might, if we get a chance, implement a little bit of that in it as well. Okay, so that's a little bit of a wireframe. I want to stop here. I did a lot of talking. I want to make sure everyone's kind of into remembers what the application was that we built. All right, the next thing we're going to do now that we've done that far is we're going to go to our code repository. And I think I put that, I did, I remember that. We did that under cohort 4, so you guys can all check that out. And again, if you go to this guy right there, it has got the presentation, and it's got right there, it's got the link to the repository if you want to go to the repository, okay? So the link is right there. And this is where we started the link list. Today we're on React. All right, so what we're going to do is the way we set this up, we've set up pipe project, and below pipe project we set up pipe. Now again, the reason that I did this, and this may or may not be a good name, is under the pipe project. And a lot of applications, if you write single page applications, which has been popular the last 3-ish years, if you write single page type applications, then generally you'll have a batch component and a front end component. And so pipe, some people call it front end or whatever. We just called it pipe. It's going to be a React app. Okay, we're going to edit this guy right there, open with code. And again, I keep emphasizing how important it is that you open just at the source level for so many reasons. And of course, the first thing we're going to do this, because we haven't worked on this for a week, is we're going to go down, and the first thing I do without even thinking is npm test to make sure everything works. Oh, and I noticed there's been a couple files changed since my last check-in, so I want to check that out and see what's happened as well. Okay, so we ran, okay, all the tests. We got some printout coming out here, which we probably want to get rid of from line 6 and line 7. We ran our tests. And what else did we notice? We noticed a couple lines. So I'm going to click on here, and it's going to show my source control stuff that's changed. So something changed in here. Okay. Crap, I added a blank line. Let me just get rid of this. Okay. Crap, I added a blank line. And the app test, it's learned to React, and it's pipe linked list. Okay. I must have changed that when I was playing with it over the last couple of days, but that's fine. No big changes. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this view here. And so the first thing that we want to do, let's just stop testing for 1 second. Well, no, now that we've run our test, let's have a quick look at what our test is. If we remember, we put our logic in here, and I just want to refresh myself on what we've done. So one of our tests, oh yeah, so this is our pipe logic. This is just our plumbing, make sure the plumbing works. So this guy, I don't really want to comment it out. Who cares? We'll just leave it. Okay, test our pipe class. So let's make sure our pipe class works. That all worked good. And then this was, oh yeah, right. We put some comments about all the things we wanted to test. Insert a second one. Okay, and so yeah, we created our controller, which is our pipeline, okay, which is our linked list. And then we checked to make sure that there was nothing in it. And then we created this pipe. We did an insert to the controller to insert it. We expected the ID to be P1. Okay, so this is using a key/ID concept. So so we checked the get. So get's getting the current, right? So this is checking the current. And then we did the next to make sure that it's created the loop. Okay, so this has created the loop for us. Next, it's getting the same one over again. Pre getting the same one. So this makes sure the circle works. So that's good. The next thing we do is we insert a second one, and we're making sure that we're at P2, which is the ID or the key. And then we do a next P1, next P2, next P1. So it's creating the circle. That's great. And then we do a pre-P2, P1, P2. That's excellent. And then we insert a third one. Make sure that it just inserted P3, which it did. We did a next P1, a next P2, a next P3, and the next P1. So make sure the circle all worked in a loop. So that's what we did last time. That was pretty cool code, if you guys remember. So that was cool. So let's just leave that. So I think now, again, we're not done by any stretch of the imagination. Are we done our pipe logic? But we have enough there that we can start putting a skeleton together. And I kind of like starting to develop the presentation layer, because one of the agile concepts, and this is so important, and I screwed myself on this again this weekend, but one of the agile concepts is to only do a little bit, do the next stage, do a little bit next stage, do a little bit next stage. Don't do 10 of something and then go into the next step to realize that the 10 of something you did weren't quite done right, okay? So the agile approach is do a little bit, do a little bit, do a little bit. I'm gonna get the outcome I want. Then go back and you can start mass doing them, right? And when I was doing that video, I don't know if any of you guys had a chance to see that video I did a little video over the weekend, and same thing. I got one little piece to work and then I did it 10 times and I realized it didn't work with the next step. So I probably wasted 4 or 5 hours on something that I shouldn't have, just because I didn't take the agile approach to it. All right. And my head works in agile, so I don't know why I did that. But anyways, all right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run, I'm going to just stop the test for a second. And again, there's a big discussion on when we're dealing with React, should we be writing our React tests before we write our React? And the answer that I always say to that is, if I'm in discovery mode, in other words, I'm trying to figure stuff out, I sometimes use the test framework to do my discovery, and sometimes I don't. And oftentimes for presentation and file-based stuff, I will do the discovery and then back it into my tests. And then I start writing my tests to move forward, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do here. We're gonna do a little bit of discovery, and I don't even think we'll get to the testing part for React today, which is fine, We're just gonna throw together some navigation and whatnot. So what we're gonna do now is start npm test, no, npm start, and we're going to start our React application. And we're going to see, this is right out of the box, I think. I don't think we made any changes to it. Right, so this is the right out of the box. Look at this spinning thing. And if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I do, okay, I'm going to try to show both at once. I'm going to try to do it in such a way that it'll make sense. I'm going to not quite full screen there. Hopefully you guys will be able to see well enough. Had some comments that hopefully have improved. The screen resolution was a little low last time I did this, and I apologize for that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the app.js, and this is just the standard application as it comes right out of the box. It comes as an application. I actually do not like it running as an application, especially when I want to start playing with state. I don't mind using a teensy bit of state, but generally what I would prefer to do is I would prefer to have that as a class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just change this function to xxx apps, like gets rid of that. I'm going to create a class called app. So what I didn't want to delete that until I'm okay, comfortable with it. So class app extends. And by the way, I looked this up under the React. I should show you guys just how I do this. .org, and then right here I did a search for class. All right, and then it shows you how to create the class. Okay, so basically, why don't I copy this because I'm lazy? This is beautiful. Okay, and we're going to call it app, and you guys just see how I just have no. Okay, React app extends. Instead of that, I can call it app. And it said hello. Just props today, I'm just going to say hello world. Oops. I don't worry about props right now. Okay. So let's see how that works. Oh, it says XX app is defined but never used. Yeah, I don't care. Okay, and here's our React app. Oh, look, and there's hello world. So that's how hard it was for us to convert a React application from a function to an app. Now, I kind of liked this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put the brackets around here. And the reason I want to put the brackets around here is because I want to put out multiple things. So I still want to have a div, because there's a couple things that did for me, which was really nice. So let's just steal this div right there. And let's copy that end. And this is looking pretty crappy. So let's format it. Format the document. Let's save that and see what it looks like. Okay, so all that did is it had some nice stuff in the app, and so we're just using the class that got installed, and so we got hello world in the middle. But we're going to change hello world, and we're just going to change this to pipe link list. All right, so there we go, piped link list. So that's great. So that's all we got going so far. So let's have a little look at this. And the next thing I want to do is I want to actually put some of these buttons in. Well, we don't have current pipe info yet. Let's just get some of these buttons. Prev, next, new. All right, let's do a couple of these buttons. So in here, I'm going to create another div. Okay, and inside of that div, get out of here. Inside of that div, we're going to put a button. And we're going to have, what are we going to do? So prev, maybe I want 3 of these buttons. New and next. Now, let's just make sure that looks like we expect it to. Want it on a separate line. We put it on a div. Yeah, there we are. Prev, new, and next. Okay. I want a little bit of space between these buttons. I don't like that. So I'm going to give these a class. Oops. Equals, and I always go CL in front and button. Usually capital B, whatever.
Hey, Larry.
Yeah.
I got a quick question. And it's more like a UI UX type thing. I've seen some pages where they just use like a text and you click the text and it does the thing. And then some pages they use buttons. Is there a is one sort of better than the other? Like I guess it's easier to see if you click a button, but it looks a little cleaner if you use the text or
Yeah, I like using text usually. When I'm teaching, I'll usually teach using buttons because buttons are more obvious. When I actually work with a UI designer, they often prefer text and text items instead, and it makes 0 difference at all. Back in the old days, it used to make a huge difference. A button did something, but nowadays it's not. You can make text do it by using spans or whatever. Yeah, so great question, Greg. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And here. So what we'll do is I'm going to save that. That should make no difference whatsoever. It re-renders, but it makes no difference. And as you guys have seen, sometimes I use this idea of V01 and I save it because then when I look at it, I know it's actually re-rendered, right? You see it updated. And then I'll change that to 2 so the next time I re-render. Especially I do that if I'm changing things and don't notice what's changing. Okay. So that's pretty cool. So what I want to do is I want to go back and I'm going to go into the app and right under app, I'm going to go .cl, meaning it's a class. And what I want to do is I want to go, and this is, and again, I often do this well. So inspect, inspect or look at the console log. Oh, let's look at the console log instead. Well, this does work pretty good. So if I click on this guy and click on that guy, then what it does is it actually shows me the information about it. So I can go to the styles, I can have a look at the information right there. And what I want to do is I think I want to increase the padding, right? So that I can get some separation between this. And for those of you guys know where I'm going with this. So I go pad, oh, there it is, padding. And I like that, those EM units now. So I can just go 1 EM. Okay, and have a look at it. Oh, geez, that's not really what I wanted. So I guess it wasn't padding I wanted, it was a margin. So I'm going to change that to margin. And there we go. Save that. And then I get a margin. Okay, so you guys see the difference between a margin and a border. It's really cool. When you look at it, it actually shows you, because you see I'm on next right now, and it actually shows me what the different things are, which is kind of cool. So those of you who play with CSS for a while get know that. Okay, so now we have next, prev, whatever, but these buttons don't do anything. And again, as you know, let's take the lazy approach. And it's not so much that I'm lazy, it's always take the lazy approach. Somebody made a comment, don't self-deprecate if you're, always take the lazy approach. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add an on-click event. So on, notice where I'm putting the on-click event. On-click equals, and I'm going to go this dot on-click, which I can do. Okay, so just for anybody that's just new to React, these squigglies at the beginning or at the end mean that I am now, this is a JSX indicator that this is a piece of code. So it's going to look for that. I'm going to get an error, but I want you to see the error. Okay, I was supposed to get an error. Why didn't I get an error? Let's go back. I should have got an error. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, oh, did I mean class name? Yes, I did mean class name. This should be class name. Look at the stuff it complains about. Class capital N or class? Yeah, capital N. So React, you have to use slightly different nomenclature. Okay, and it should give me an error that wasn't defined. It will when I try to push it. Oh no, look. On click. Oh, this is on click. It does not give me an error. All right, but nonetheless, it doesn't do what I want to do. So I'm going to create a on click is equal to, and if you use arrow functions, for those of you that have gotten to React, if you use arrow functions, it just makes life so much easier. Now we can do the log. Should do a click thing. All right, so all I want to do is get that. All I want to do, we're just doing some design, some fooling around. Oh, should do the click thing. New should do the click thing. Next should do the click thing. Now, the interesting thing is if I click anywhere at all, I should do the click thing. So you notice the counter going up, should do the click thing. All right, so if any of you guys watched any of my videos, you know now what I do. I decide whether I want to do something when they click here, where they click here, where they click here, here, by simply using the concept of to do. And I wonder if the concept of to do works in React. So what I'm going to do, because I'm lazy, I'm only going to do it to do there. To do equals quote, and I'm going to say new. And then on my event, I'm going to take my event. And what I'm going to do on my console log is I'm going to go comma E just to see what it does. So notice notice how many lines of code I write before I test things. It's really interesting. And I know we're trying to do things in a hurry and stuff, but when I sit and help people, how many lines of code they try to do without doing a test, right? So there we go, prev. And as you can see, there's our, okay, coming out. So what we want to do, the next thing we want to do is we don't want that. We want e.target. Let's make sure that works. Click new. Yeah, there's our target. Oh, and look, it's got a to-do on it. So I think we're going to get lucky. So what we're going to do is when they click it, we're going to go const to do is equal to e.target.getAttribute.toDo. Okay, dot. Okay, and then that's all we really care about. So there we'll just print to do. Let's see if that works. Proof. That's the new. New, yes. And this is the only one that we did to do with new. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So preve, new, next. All right, well, that's pretty cool. Let's slow down here. Does anybody have any questions here so far in what we've done? No questions, everybody's good? All right, how about a round of who's sleeping out there? Okay, Brandon, good to see you.
Hey there.
All right, no, not me, not me. Come on, I want to see a not me from everybody. All right.
Unfortunately,
all right.
I'm sleeping. I'm sleep talking.
That's awesome. All right, so is this making sense yet? So all we're doing is a little bit of fooling around, getting it to do what we want. But we're doing this, and I want to make sure that this is very clear to everybody. We're doing this in a think in React kind of way, okay? So we are using React the way we want, okay? Now, we've noticed we don't need this anymore. I don't think there's anything we want in there. Okay, so I don't need that guy anymore. So here we got just a little bit of code. We got a click event happening. We got a click event happening. I'm gonna format that code a little better. We got a click event happening at a group level, at the page level. We got a to-do, a new, and then we're gonna go on there. And so now we can start doing a little bit of logic. So what we want to be able to do is when the person clicks the new button, we want to pop up and get rid of the rest of the buttons. What we want to do is we want to come up with a component that's going to handle our new. Okay, is that okay? We're going to just create a component, and we're just going to get the component to handle the new. So when they do a new, we'll show the new component. Otherwise, we'll show the buttons. All right, so either going to show the buttons or the new. So we're going to do some conditional rendering. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go into here. I just save this guy. Unsave stuff. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another folder, and that folder is going to be called components. Okay. And under components, and again, I try to follow conventions as often as well as I can. But the conventions sometimes get a little gray depending on what you're working on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new pipe, new pipe.js. And inside of the new pipe.js, all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little function, and it's just going to be a simple function. So if I would have kept my original, darn, I should have. If I would have kept it, I would have copied it exactly as it was. But for right now, we're just going to write this as a function. I'm going to steal a couple lines of code just because I'm too lazy to type them. And function, I think we want to call it a function new pipe component. Let's not get any parameters right now. And all we're going to do here is we're going to do a return. I'm going to do it that way. And I'm always going to put it in a div or a group of some kind. But right now I'm just going to do a heading, and all it's going to say this new pipe component. Okay, I think that's okay. If you guys know, export DE, and I kept telling you guys not to memorize this stuff, but I do apologize. I've done it a lot in the last week or so. Okay, so I don't expect you to memorize any of this stuff. All right, so but we want to do this conditionally. So we've got this component written. Let's go into our app and let's import that. Again, I'll just leave a import. and we call it new pipe component from, and we'll put quote dot slash, and yeah, we're from components slash, and it's so nice the way it comes up, new pipe, oops, space, new pipe, there it is, in .js, because someone needs a .js. I think the browsers need .js. Okay, so we got our new pipe component. We want to conditionally render it, but you know what I'm going to do is first, I'm
Larry,
just going to make sure it works. Yeah.
you included the .js on there, but is that always required?
Never. No. Good question. It's only required in one thing, and I can't remember what it is. I think it's just on the browser. I think with React you don't need to do it, but I think if you include it in the browser, it needs it. So I've just gotten in the habit of putting it in now. Yeah. So you probably don't need it in this case at all. All right. Oh, look at this new pipe component. There it is. Okay, so the problem that we've got right now is we got the new pipe component and it isn't conditionally rendered, and we've got these buttons. And what I want to do is I either want to do the new pipe or I want to do the buttons. So to solve my problem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another component, new file, and I'm going to call this buttons. And again, you notice after a while some of your names become really bad. And what I'm going to do is it's going to be just about like new pipes. I'm going to copy this one, except for different. And I'm going to go back to my app and I'm going to copy my buttons here. And then I'm going to ask a skill testing question. So I want all you guys to be ready for this skill testing question. So I'm in buttons. So I can replace this like this. I'm going to reformat because I'm ugly. And I'm going to give you guys all a skill testing question. Okay, and on here, I just deleted that. So I'm going to go, what did I call that? What did I call this? Call this, like this to be, call this, I think I can use the plural. It'll allow me to do that, I think. Okay, save that. It's not complaining yet. I'm doing this a little fast just because I'm trying to get it done. I think you guys all know what I'm trying to do, but I will stop if anybody has any. All right, I want to call it buttons comp anyways. So I'll rename that. So this is to go buttons. Okay. So that guy. I'm going to say this guy. Buttons comp. I think I really like Andre's naming conventions. You know how you glob, you see something and you glob onto it and go, that's a good idea. So if you notice, I'm pretty fussy about that kind of stuff. Okay, use state is defined but never used. Oh, I don't care. We will be using it. Logo is defined. Yeah, we don't care. Actually, I do care a little bit about that one. Okay, but let's have a look and see if it works. Okay, look at this new pipe component. What? Oh, I know what the problem is. Do I? What the problem is? Yeah. And this one is going to be buttons comp. We'll let that one be first. Okay, you guys ready for your skill testing question? And again, if you want to see some more, that's fine. So there's our buttons. Now, if you notice, and here's the skill testing question. If you notice, inside of buttons, all they do is they define the buttons. Prev, I've got one with to do. The question I'm going to ask you guys all, the question I'm going to ask everybody on one response is when I push the new button, will it actually print this out? Will I also go, you should do something? To do a click thing? How many go yes and how many go no? How many wants to see a little bit more? Getting a lot of no's. I love the fact that you're out there. Okay, only 3 people voted. We're waiting for another 18 votes. All right, 12 more votes left. Either that or you have to say you're sleeping. I'm sleeping. We got 1 yes. Oh my goodness. Don't know. That's good. I like that. That's fair. All right. So I'm just gonna go through again. Remember what we learned in DOM. Okay. Now again, this is manipulating the DOM for us, but remember what we learned on DOM. So if I add an event at a higher level, then it will bubble down. So everything below here will actually be clicked, but I'm going to be a little careful about that. So if I go to my application and I click over here, it's going to click. It's going to click. It's going to say that I clicked. And the reason for that is again, quite simple. So this works as we would expect it to work. And if we look at our code again, everything, our whole application is within this div, and within this div, we're bringing in other components. The click is in the parent component, so that'll work. Okay, now, but the real question was when I push, because the only one that I have a to-do on, the only one I have a to-do on is this one. All right, so does anybody want to revote? We can allow a revote. Now again, we have our assistant standing by keeping tally. What do you guys think? With this new information, do you think it'll work? So as you can see, it did propagate down. Will this new button, will it know that it's got a to-do on it? Will it know? Oh, we got a net yes. And again, if anybody want to understand this a little further, this is a really important concept to understand. Because I'm going to show you something else, just to make this a teensy bit more complicated. On this buttons component, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a to-do here. What that to-do is going to be, it's going to be buttons. I'm going to say that, and wonder if that works. All right. No, it's got no magic with buttons. No, that's a good question. A really good question. It has no magic to do with buttons. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to click around here. Click around here. See the null thing. See the null thing. And then I'm going to go right there. And it did pick up the new. But it did not in the buttons pick it up. Okay, because it's passing it through as a property. Okay, now, interestingly enough, if I go to the div, and this is really important to understand here, if I go to this div right here, and this is answering the question, which was a great question about where do we connect it to, and I'm going to go to do here equals, and I'm going to say, oops, equals, and I'm going to say div buttons, D-I-V-B-U-T-T-O-N-S, which you would think is the same thing, but it's not. So now when I click new, it picks it up. And again, the reason it picks it up is this is a DOM thing. It really doesn't have much to do with React. It's a DOM thing. So what happens is because we have set a click on this whole thing, and because the click takes the target that you clicked on, which is this, and because that to-do gets passed on to the DOM picks it up. It doesn't pick it, well, okay, so now look at this. Notice that. Okay, the to-do now is div buttons. Okay, so it's the div that's giving it, right? So when React executes, see how that's doing that? And now it's new. So with this power, you can do a ton of stuff, okay? All right, so now what we want to do is we want to start, okay, so I hope everybody understands that now. It's because of bubbling, it in fact did work. I didn't have to do any fancy magic stuff, fancy magic stuff, okay? All right, so the next thing that we're going to play on is we're going to play on a little bit of conditional rendering, okay? So on conditional rendering, when I click the new button, I only want to see the new pipe component. If I'm not seeing the new pipe component, I only want to see new. All right. So I want to teach a little bit of logic on here. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out how many times we actually go through the render. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in here. Now again, this is a class and not a function, and they do work different. But this is really good to do, this kind of stuff. Log. So I'm just going to put a quote. I'm going to put a couple exclamation marks, something new. The dash, I'm going to go in render. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go in app.render. All right, and that'll help us understand. So notice it went through app render twice. Very important to understand. It went through app render twice. 2 times it went through it. Okay. All right, I'm going to set. I'm going to create a constructor. And again, this is going to give me an error, so I might as well just save it and get the error. Again, I wrote a line of code. And it really has a fit because must call the super, okay? Now it really has a fit if I don't call it super. So I might as well just go super. And what's the difference between a super and a supper? For all us farm people. Okay, so all of a sudden I did that. Okay, so I have a super. And then in the super, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep track of this dot to do, because that seems to be important, is equal to nothing. All right, and when you click, now instead of setting the const to do, I'm going to set this dot to do. All right, and then here I'm going to print this dot to do. So now every time you push a button, so when I click it, it's setting to do. Okay. So notice how many times is it going through the render? It's not going through the render. So as I click, it's not re-rendering. All right. So now I want to put some, so I'm going to click new, the new thing. So now when we want to put conditional rendering, the conditional rendering goes down here. So I'm in the render, and what I'm going to do print is this dot to do. All right, and what I'm going to say is if this dot to do is equal to new, because that's the only thing I really care about. All the other I don't care about. Then I'm going to actually create a variable here, const. I don't know, output. No, I have to say let. They're going to be changing it. And this is, no, I'm going to show you another error here. So if it's new, output is equal to, as we're going to start taking some of this conditional rendering out here. So if it's new, I want the new pipe. In all other cases, in all other cases, I want output to be equal to this. Right, and then down here, all I want to do is output. Now, I like to ask if it's going to work, but I don't know if it's going to work because I probably made a mistake somewhere. I'm going to save this, and let's have a look. All right, so it partially worked, for sure. We got our buttons out, okay? Now, I got a debug statement in here because I needed to go through the render again in order for it to decide to do this. So let's have a look here. Let's new. Look at this. It's set to do to new, and I know it does that because inside of my click, I'm actually printing my this to do. But it's not going through the render. So the problem is I needed to go through the render again. Now, I'm going to step back here for a second because this is a great place to take a little bit of a break, like not a go to the bathroom break, a think break, and think. So what we're trying to do, React, JavaScript, As you notice, what we're trying to do with all these things is we're trying to create the right events to create stuff to happen. So what are the events we need to create to get stuff to happen? Anybody have an idea how we can get, all I want it to do is run the render method when I change anything. Does anybody know what black magic I can use in React to get the render method to execute? Anybody got an idea?
Set state.
I love that. That's exactly right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use React State for exactly the reason state should be used. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do, it is state in here. No, it's not. So in the constructor, we're going to go, and again, this is all over the documentation. So we go this dot state is equal to, and all we do is we pass it an object, and in that object we pass it. Again, this is with the class version, which I like much better. All we're going to do is we're going to pass it the to do. Okay. And then here, instead of doing it this way, we're going to find a bad lesson. I'm not going to print it out here for you guys are all going to know why. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to do a this dot set state brackets, and again that's just another object which is going to be to do, and then we're going to chew. Okay, so everybody notice what we did here. Oh yeah, we need that to be one of these squigglies to finish it off. Okay, so the set state, its input is an object, so it is an object. Okay, and then when we want to change a state, okay, the set state, we just change the one we want. And so now down here, instead of to do, what we're going to do is if this dot state dot to do, and we're going to change this to this dot state dot to do. Okay, so all we changed now is instead of storing, by the way, was to do stored in state before? The answer is absolutely. It was stored in state. So we've moved this from normal regular state to React state. And the reason we've moved it from normal state to React state is because we want React to do some of its magic for us. Well, let's just save that now. And I don't know whether I have an error or not. Okay, so the rendering still works properly. So notice it says in render, in render. When I click over here, look at this. It goes through render twice. Goes through render twice. Okay, when I'm everywhere in here, it goes through render. So I'm going to just clear it out. Now I'm going to do my new, and look at that, new pipe. It goes through render twice again. So that's something that you need to be very, very, very careful of, is because state begins to change, it rips through your render twice. And you have to keep that in mind as you're coding your stuff. Now, here's the problem. We've just coded ourselves into, oh no, I guess we haven't. All right, so when we click new, it comes up with this pipeline. We need some way of resetting that to do back to null or anything. And by clicking on here, we actually set it back to null. But I'm going to clean some of those up. I'm going to clean up some of those because we only want the to-dos to do something at specific cases. Okay. Now, add a clock with seconds. What does that mean? Add a clock with seconds?
Oh, you were just asking how to update the render.
Oh, yeah. That's yeah, sure. That will do it for sure. Yeah. Now, sorry, Brendan. It was what a bug or a feature?
The fact that it renders twice.
No, actually, it's not a bug. It's intended to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to clean our code up just a teensy little bit because for show, we added some things. So everybody see how we did conditional rendering? I like the click happening in most cases, right? Is line 11 needed on here? Line 11. Oh, good point. See, let's clean it up. Let's get rid of this stuff. Let's go to
That was
buttons.
confusing me too. I'm like, why do we have it twice?
Yeah, no, we don't need this to do on here because I was just showing with to-dos and back on here. I think I had another to-do on a couple of these. To-do, we don't need this guy because this guy actually didn't work. Did you notice this guy didn't work? And the reason this guy didn't work is because React is actually picking it up and sending it. Okay, so I'm going to save that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the new pipe and we're going to actually add a button on here. And we're going to put a to do equals quote cancel. So that's the to do, and we're going to actually have it say cancel. Okay, the to do's cancel, and we're going to do another one, which is going to be save. And this one is going to be to do is save, and it'll say save. Now we got nothing to cancel, nothing to save, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so you notice, step back again for a second because now is probably a good time to take our coffee break once we just get this working. Notice we're only playing with navigation and we're only playing with React and we're only adding a couple lines of code and we're just playing. So now what we want to do is if we are in, let's go look at this. So now if I do a new, if I push anywhere, if I push save, I want it to go away and do that. That's cool. If I press new and I say cancel, I want it to go away to do this thing. If I push new and I push on the header, I don't want it to go away. So that's a mistake. I don't want it to go away when I'm doing those things. Does anybody, I'm going to just let you ponder for about a minute. What logic can I add in here to solve that little problem? Does anybody know what logic I can do to solve that little problem? All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to what we had before. I'm going to go const is equal to. So now we've got it. And I'm now going to change our logic a little bit to say if to do, and this is a truthy, I'm just going to put a truthy, I'm going to do this. Will that solve our problem? Or will it cause more problems, by the way? Oftentimes it causes more problems. So I'm just going to change. I don't need to do that twice. Wonder whether that'll work or not. So here we are. Click the new. We get our new pipe question. Look at that. If I click anywhere else, it doesn't go away. If I click save, my to-do changed. And because my to-do changed, it redid it. New, cancel. So I just needed to do the right things now. So where, in fact, can I begin to put that logic? So if we have to do, I can set the state to do. Now here I can say, because I know I have something, so I can go if, and there's 1,000 ways to do this, you guys. So I is equal to save. And for right now, I'm just going to put log tab do save stuff. And then we're going to put it else. And then just else if to do equals cancel. Do cancel stuff. And that's about it. I think that's about it. Let's just save it, make sure it works. So now we do a new, click all the way around, nothing. Oh, look at these buttons, they're ugly. We got to put them in the other class. Save. in-app render. Oh yeah, do save stuff. Great. New, cancel, do save stuff. Cool. All right, I think we have our navigation roughly working the way we want. It isn't perfect. There's lots of console logs. There's some things that we gotta clean up, but we have it doing kind of what we want. I think now is a great time to take a break for about a little over 10 minutes. I'm gonna hang around for a few minutes, but we're gonna start again at 11:15. All right, to tie in our actual components. All right. All right, so we'll just take a break. I'm going to stop recording. So,
Hey, Larry.
disable just 1 second here. Pause recording. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention.
All right, thank you very much. We've just resumed recording. Okay, so what we want to do now is before we actually tie the application in, what I'd like to have happen is when I click, let's cancel this. When I click new, I would like this new pipe component to come up. I'd like it to ask me for the attributes. When I press the save button, I want those attributes to at least display for me that they're going to be saved, okay? So we're going to get that bit done first. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to new pipe.js. And there we got our buttons. We may need to do this a different way, but whatever. We're going to put a, I think length was the first one. Okay, and then we're going to have a input field, and yeah, I think that's it. And then we're going to have a diameter. Well, you know what? Let's have a look at the test script, and we can tell. Buttons. Let's look at the business logic. Here we go. And what did they call it? Diameter and quality. Length, diameter, and quality. So we'll just copy these out. And those are the things that we want to see in our new pipe logic. Yeah, length, diameter. And I'm doing this in a non-agile way because I would do one, make sure it works first. And again, we know we're going to change this, but that's okay. Let's just have a look at this for now. Let's put that here. New. Okay, length. And what we want to do is we want to get those in separate lines, right? So let's just go put those in div. Probably one of the ways to do it, one of the billion ways to do it. Keep hitting a bad key. Go. And the other one seemed to work okay. So I'm going to go diameter. Quality. And we don't need these two. So if we go new, length, great. If we push save, I want this to be able to come up. So I want to be able to say about to save, and then we can tie this in. So what we're going to do is on this guy now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to override this guy. So on click, we're going to go and we're going to do that equal to my save. And then inside of the functions here, we're in another function called my save. We'll just see if this is going to work. In this one, we're going to log in my save. Okay. We'll see what ends up happening here. Click new. Click anywhere else. It all works. All works. When I go save, it says in my save, do save stuff. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is, so in my save stuff, so that's good. So I think I'm going to change the to do here. I'm not going to do it this way. I'm not going to do it with a to do. I'm just going to do it with save. And then in the save, now what I got to do is I got to get this input. Okay. And there's a few different ways of being able to get that input. The one that I favor is doing putting an ID in here. Okay, let's just reformat this. That's when it's formatted it properly. Okay, so what I'm going to favor right now is I'm going to put. There's a few ways of doing it. I'm always trying a better way, but ID LENGTH. So we're going to go ID equals quote ID length. And then when we press the save button, I'm going to see if I can get that value out. So I'm going to say const that's I is equal to document dot get element by ID. And we're going back to kind of an old-fashioned way of doing it, just because. And then I'm going to just log I. So let's just see how that works right now. That's sort of 2 lines of code. I don't like doing that much line code. So new, and then I'm going to put a length in here, 111. Save. Look at that input. Okay, so it looks like we're going to get it. So let's just run the right track. So then we can say value. Let's just call const b is equal to I dot value. And here we're going to do another one. And by the way, if I was doing this by myself, I would do very, very similar to this. I'm not just doing it for training. I'm doing it to make sure that it works the way we want. So 1, save. And look at that, we got 11. Really cool. So now we need to do it for length. We need to do it for diameter. We need to do it for quality. All right, but I'm much too lazy for something like that. I'm gonna write a new function.
Larry, is it required to use the get element ID for when you're grabbing the an ID that you've defined, or can you just use ID dot?
I've tried that before, Dwayne. It sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. Or was that Doug?
Yeah, ID dot doesn't work with React. And there's a long story why. It actually would work, except for because React does all the checking that it does, it actually thinks that it doesn't work. So if you can trick it to get past the compiler or past the syntax checker, the React checker, it will work. But I just do it like this. So what I do here is I do document. So what I want to do is I want to move that. I created another function called get. So what I'm going to do now is return document.getID. I'm going to change this to the ID you passed me. Dot value. Okay, so everybody see how I did that? Okay. And then now I can change. And again, length is a really bad one, so I'm going to go pipe length. LNGTH. You can tell I grew up in a Ukrainian family. Okay, get, and that was said with all the respect I can muster. Quote ID GTH. And now we want to do so we're kind of debugging as we're going here. A little bit of logic in here, which I'm not crazy about, but it's React type logic, so I forgive myself. Oops. PIPELENGTH, pipe length. Okay, so it's just, we've written quite a few lines of code, and I just want to make sure it'll be easy for us to debug this. 1 save. Yes, in my save. All right, so then I should be able to just do, again, there isn't diameter, doesn't have the same kind of problem. So I go ID diameter. And again, I always put IDs in front of everything so I can TR. And again, as soon as you're doing more than 5 or 6 of these, there are always ways to get rid of this code. And if you see some of my other, so this is sure, and then this is quality. Okay. And then I'm going to go pipe length, comma, DI. And I should leave that error in there just so that QUALITY. How hard this is for people who can't spell. Okay, so I get those 3 values to print out. 14 expected assignment. 14. All right. You guys can see that. How frustrating is that for you guys watching this? Okay. So there we go. So we go in there, we do a new, we do 1, 2, a save, and we get tons and tons of errors. And what is it? Function my save. Cannot read property value from null. Okay, so what line? Okay, so ID diameter. Oh, yes, you guys knew that before I did. So what I need to do is grab this guy. And again, I have trouble typing the same word so many times. So I would find some lazy way of doing this, trust me. As would most lazy, and again, it's a good thing, not a bad thing. Software developer would find a lazy way of doing this. Because there's another piece of code I'm going to put in here that's going to be just frustrating as well. Okay, so new 1, 1, 1, save. Look, 1, 1, 1. So just make sure it does work. 2, and then 3. But we do have a little bit of a problem because when I do this save, it doesn't go away. Oh, but the cancel goes away. The save does not. Does anybody know why? Because we took out the to do on the save, but I did that for good reason. Cancel won't do anything, so that's good. So now what we actually want to do is we want to pass a save function down to this function because we want all of that stuff happening at the top level. And again, you often wouldn't have it at the base level. You would often have it at the level where the data, you start using that data, right? And that's exactly why Roman and I gave you those exercises where you're working on multiple things. You decide where the parent of that component is, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually create another method in my class. I'm going to call it on save pipe, and I'm going to expect the length, width, and quality. As you can see, I'm starting to get a little better at the lazy part. And now I'm going to actually just do a log from here, which is going to have the length, comma, width, comma, quality. Okay. And what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to execute that guy. So anybody know how we can do that? Of course you all know how we can do that. What I'm going to do is down to the render on new pipe, I'm going to pass a function down to it. So I'm going to say on save. I can call it anything I want, Larry save, whatever, equals, and I'm going to pass it that function. So this dot on pipe save. All right, and again, we might have multiple saves, so that's why I want to call this one. This is going to be specifically pipe save. So this is going to be specifically pipe save. But in this guy right there, it'll just be save. So I'm doing that so you help understand sort of the difference. And then what we're going to do is going to go here. And then what I'm going to do is on the save right after this, I'm going to comment this guy out. But I'm going to copy him. And I'm going to go props on want to do that. And I'll just take it like console log and actually pass this to it. Great. And then on function, right there on my function, I gotta go props here. And then just because I don't want to, I just wanted to log those props. Okay, quite a bit of code there without testing. I apologize that there was about 5 little hookup lines that we did in there, which were kind of simple. So we'll see 1, 2, A. And that's great. We got some errors. The on save is not a function. All right. And so we'll check up here and see. We should have got a console log that would have told us what it is in app render, in my save. Okay, here we go. On save. Well, it looks like on save is a function. Notice where this came from new pipeline 4. So on save, props.onsave. Maybe I didn't say it right. Props.onsave. No, I did say it right. Props. Props.onsave. Line 17 is not a function. 17 is not a function. Props. Okay, now I'm lost. What I'm going to do right here, I'm just going to bring this guy out. There's a slim chance that I'm going to do is just point that right there and make sure line 17 I get it because I don't know what's wrong. So I'm going to new save. We get the error. Okay, so let's see if we got line 17 console logging. Line 17 on save undefined. Oh, look at this on save. So there is an on save, but it's undefined. So my error actually goes back to the parameter I'm passing from app. This dot on save. On save pipe. This on save pipe. Yeah, and I think the reason for that is this needs
Pipe and on pipe save.
to be a arrow function. Well, no, I think that part's okay. It just didn't know. It didn't know. It didn't know. Sorry, it was an unbound problem. Those unbound problems drive me berserk. No, that wasn't.
You reversed that. You said on pipe save in one, and then on save pipe in the other.
Oh, did I? On save pipe. Oh, you smarty pants. You smarty pants. Greg, what would I do without you pair programming with me?
You'd find somebody better.
No, not at all. Oh my goodness. Yay, Greg. All right. Okay. So now I don't like the fact that I can do this. Okay. I'm in my save, on save function, and in my save function, 1, 2, 3. I've got it propagated up. All right, which is really cool. I can do one last navigation thing to get my navigation to work. And then we're going to tie in the application. But you guys can see how all we're doing right now is tying the navigation. So it actually called this guy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do my set state. Okay, and what I'm going to do on my set state, I think, is I'm going to set that to null. And I think that'll work. I think null is right. It failed to compile. Null is not defined. Why isn't it null? Maybe that. Okay. Every language is a little different. New, save. Good, it went away. So there's one other little thing I want to do, which I'm not really that happy with, is, and I'm just going to put editing on 1. I don't want to be able to press save like this. I want to at least have something in one of the values. So I'm going to put something in there. I'm going to put something in there. Buttons, new pipe. And what I'm going to say is, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I am going to cheat a little bit and copy a line of code use state. I'm actually going to use state. I'm going to use a message. I've done this a few times. I kind of like this. So I'm going to use this concept of a message, and down in my render, right after my new pipe, I'm going to put a message in here. So that'll print a message, and then I'm going to say right here, if, and again, this is, we can argue whether this is good or not, if pipe length. Okay, so I'm going to use a falsy. Okay, true keys and falsy. Okay, so that if it's true, what I'm going to say is if it's not, which means it's a falsy. So if it's not that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set message equal to be quote, you must enter a length. Let's see if that works. And new save. Oh, what's wrong with that? Oh, I know. You must enter. Yeah, look. Silly. Message is that. I need to return out of here. It can't do anything. Because once it goes out of here, then it does a new save. Oh, look, you must enter length. Save, save, save. If I enter 1, 1, 2, and A and press save, it's gone. Okay. So simple logic, you guys. I will check this logic in, but as you can see, simple logic. Okay. So now what I want to do, and we're just about out of time, but we want to tie a few things into this. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go to our tests. All right. And in our test, in our business logic test, right there, this is our test. What we're going to do is we're going to grab our import statement, which won't be 100% correct. And we're going to put it into our app right there. And I think this has got to go from slash in a space line. Oh, yeah, you have to have suggestions. Why is there no suggestions? Or from dot slash. This will be from, okay, so I'm going to just get rid of this guy. There we go. Pipe logic dot pipe logic. So there we go. So there's our functions back. And so in theory, in our constructor, what we can do is we can, where's our test again? We can set up our let pipe. No. What we're going to do is we're going to set up pipeline. Notice if this is, excuse me, if this is done right, we can copy lines right out of here. So we can go this, that pipeline. So now this is a state object. It's not a React state object, but it is a state object. And so now when I go to save, let's look and see where I did a save. So there's my on save right there. So what I'm going to do right there, I'm going to go back to my test logic. And I'm going to look at how to create one. So I'm going to do a pipe.insert. I'm going to steal the code because we wrote good tests, very good test. And I'm going to go this because it's the same thing, the insert function. And now it's going to go length, comma, oops, length, comma, width, comma, quality. Sets the two to null, and that should be there. So let's just push that. All right, so let's see if this works. Now, we won't be able to tell whether it works, which is a problem. So what we're going to do is new. And I'm going to go right now and just go 1, 1, A, save. I don't know whether it really did it or not, but we're going to go to B. And if anybody knows anything about pipeline, this would not work. All right. So it's now we need the ability to render. How many minutes do we have left? We only have 15 minutes left. Let's see if we can get it to actually render. Okay, so we got the buttons coming out. All right, so what we want to do is we want to create, what I want to do is create another component. So we're going to create a component, and inside of here, a new file. And what I want to call this, last one was new. We want to call this one current pipe.js. And I'm going to steal new pipe. Only I'm going to make it way easier. Current pipe. And what we're going to do here is we're still going to, okay, we're going to change this to current. I still want to print the props. Don't think we need any of this shit. So stuff. We don't need any of this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say this is the current pipe. Okay, and we're just going to leave this for just a second. We'll might use something like this, but we definitely don't want to save. And we'll change that to return. Okay, and a return is just like a cancel, so we'll just leave that to do. That's fine. All right, and then we want this guy to show up. That's all we want this guy to show up to begin with. So we're going to show you a little problem that's going to. So what we want to do now is on the render. If it's new, we want it to render that. Otherwise, we want output to be equal to, and I'm going to do this component. And it's not going to work, just so you know. Current, oops, new current pipe component. And we have to pass it. We'll have to pass it some stuff, but for now, that's okay. Okay, and we would like to say plus this. And any of you guys that have done this, this will not work. And there's an explanation why this will not work, so I don't want to get too invested in this. So you would think you'd be able to add the two together and it would just show them. Oh, current pipe's not defined, of course. So we'll just repeat that. Are you guys keeping up? Is this okay? This is, you're sort of seeing the way I'm thinking through this as I'm doing it. Current pipe, and I don't think on current pipe I actually changed the import. I did not. Okay, so there's always three little things that you got to do in order to get a new component to work. Message is not defined. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, on current pipe, we don't need to print message. Yes. There will be no message. It will only be. All right. So look at this. This is what it does. See this object? And again, a teensy bit investigation will tell you if, because you can do that. Absolutely can do that in your app. And what it's really trying to tell you is, when you go to do your output, set this up as an array. Oops. Equals. So now it's an array. And now all you have to do is output.push this. And the next thing you know, everything's going to work honky-dory. And in this case, you just do an output.push, each one individual. And then each line is a component. And as long as each line is a component, it's a happy camper. Again, hopefully not many. I had a bunch of kids that did go camping this weekend. Yes. Okay, let's do that. Semicolon. All right, let's try that. We don't need this. Okay, we'll see if that works. Look at that. look at that. We got our buttons. We got our tune. Okay, so this is the current pipe. So it's just showing it. So now it's doing that. Every child needs a key. Yeah. So now that we do that, all these things need a key. So, and it's pretty easy to do that. So on this one, I'm just going to go key equals quote. And as long as it's unique, new. So I just passed it a key. And if you notice, I've changed from key to ID. When I get to React, that was because of this problem right there. So this key is going to be called current. And this key will be called buttons. Okay, as long as there's a different key, life is good. So I'll get rid of that error. And then logic-wise, we can decide whether we want to do it. So what's that? Yeah, use state. Yeah, we don't care right now. Okay. So now what I want to actually do is I want to actually pass this component, okay, component pipe. What I want to actually pass it is pipe equals this dot pipe. Oh, right in brackets. So what I want to do is I want to pass it the current pipe. So I can go this dot pipeline dot get. If you guys all remember, we wrote this really cool get function. And if I go down to here, it's null right now, right? Why is it printing this? But anyways, we're going to do a new. We can fix logic up later. 1.1a save. 2.2b. Oh, sorry. Okay, save. You must enter length. I'm going to cancel. Okay, so the current component. So now we're in the current component, and let's look at the pipe that actually sent to it. So if you see the pipe, it actually sent P1 length and diameter. So let's just change. No, our logic is a little messed up, and I'm going to try to fix it before. We still got 10 minutes to fix the logic up. So we're going to go into current pipe. And now instead of an input field here, we'll just get rid of this. We don't want an input field. This is going to be props dot, I think it's length, isn't it? Oh, we can look right here. Yeah, props dot length, props dot diameter. Cool. So we're getting here. Okay. So let's look at pipe. Yeah. ID, length, and diameter. So we want to print an ID in here. So we can actually start seeing the ID. So we'll just go ID. Now, there's a long story about whether you think it's appropriate to show the business people your IDs. And generally, the answer is I often do. Depending on what kind of application I'm writing, I often will. Props.length. Oh, actually, it's not props. It's props.pipe.id, isn't it? Just about did that on Agile thing and did lots of them at once. Did it compile error? What was it compile error? Use state. Oh, yeah, we don't care about that. A little messy. Is that what the problem is? Some of our mess come to causative problems. Cannot read property ID of null. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, okay. So now we're going to start putting a little bit of logic in here because the renders start running all the time. So what I'm going to do right here is now, so if this dot pipeline dot get. So that means what that is really saying now is if there's something in it, then we're going to run this. Otherwise, we're just going to show the buttons. All right, so now we're going to do, so it's not showing that stuff. So if we go new, go 1.1a and save it, look at that, ID1 length, and the length isn't getting output. I think we screwed that up. So let's just fix current now. Oh yeah, we didn't go props dot pipe dot length, and diameter should be props dot pipe dot diameter. Just be lazy, see if we can save that. Diameter. And this one will be, oops, quality. Cool, super cool. Okay, so we're gonna do a new of 1A. Did I press the cancel by accident? 1A. And again, we should fix those buttons. Look at that. P1 111. So let's do another new. And let's do a 2B. Look at that. Now, wouldn't it be cool? Holy crap. Wouldn't it be cool if on the return, we could actually print the one before it and the one after it? I wonder if we could actually do that. That'd be really cool. Okay. How much time do we have? Oh, you guys, we have 5 whole minutes to do that. How the heck do we do that, if you guys remember correctly? So right down after this div, I'm just going to try going crops and just see if I can actually get it to print out props. So we now have the pipe. So if we have the pipe, we can go next pipe dot ID. Let's just see if that works. Okay, so do a new 11A. Look at that, P1. It is the one before. Okay, let's try another one. And let's go to remember this is a linked list. Be save. Look at that. It's P2 and it's actually P1. Let's do another one. And do 3C. Look at that. Okay, that is absolutely way too cool. Now, it would be really cool if it could show the forward and back one, and it would actually do a prev and a next based on that, right? Wouldn't that be cool? So do you think in the next 5 minutes we can actually get that to work? Okay, so that is the next, and to me, that would have to go there. And then I want to do, and you know what, we're gonna put that in a button. Okay, and then we're gonna put that in a button as well. Okay, and here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a to do here. To do, let's do a next equals, man, oh man, we're gonna clean this up a little bit. And then we're gonna do a pre, okay, and we'll put next, and we'll go that next, we'll do that pre, and then we're gonna make these, okay, wouldn't this one be cool if we could do, oh, I know, right here, if we did an arrow this way. All right, let's try that out. Oh, it does not like that. Oh, we know how to trick it, you guys. We know how to trick it. So what we'll do is we'll run some JavaScript in here. And inside of the JavaScript, we'll actually make it. Oh, and you know what? If we took one of these, and if we put it there on the button, that'd make that button look so freaking cool. And we'd be like the cool kids on the block. You could show everybody else. Okay, so let's do new. Okay, so now I want to stop the experiment here. So A. So because we did this in the circle, the next one will be 1, and the next one and the previous will be the same. All right, so look at this. P1 going this way, P1 going that way. I don't know what that question mark is, but anyways, whatever. So if I do a new now after this one, 2, B, this should go right after the A. And the one before it is P1, the after one is P1. So remember the two pipelines pointing to each other? That's what we just did here. So if I do another new, and again, the logic, we have to clean this up a little bit, but we're making the key stuff work. And then we save. Look at that, P2 is this way, P1 is that way. Now we don't actually have these buttons working, but it knows that we want to do a previous or a next. So let's figure out if we can figure out the logic to do a previous or a next. We only got a minute. We've only got like 2 minutes, you guys. Oh my God, the pressure is becoming unbearable. So now what we're gonna do is on the click event, if it's save, we do this. Else, if it's cancel, we do this. I don't know. Else, oops. If to do is equal to quote next, now we shouldn't do them both together. Agile principles tells us that we shouldn't. This dot pipeline dot, and I think we wrote ourselves a next function, so maybe we can use it. And again, we should never do two of these at once because it will always hurt you, and especially when you're in a hurry. The worst time to take shortcuts is when you're in a hurry. Now, let's see if our business logic, again, it's a little, there's some sloppy stuff in here, there's no question, but we're actually getting the essence of it to kind of work. Okay, so there's one, it's pointing forward. Ah, that guy's gonna drive me nuts. We gotta fix that. So let's go to our current. All right, let's try that again. New, I always put simple numbers in. Please, when you're showing me your code, do simple stuff. Okay, we're gonna do a new to be save. Okay, so look at this. So forwards and backwards. So if I go this way, look at that, P1, and then it's 2 both ways. I'm gonna do this one, I'm gonna do a new, and as we can tell, some of the buttons we don't need anymore. They've kind of outlived their usefulness, but as we're doing our design, okay, so there's 3. So before us is 2, the next one is 1. Let's go to 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness, you guys, I think we did it. So one more test I'll always do, and I'll always do this test for you guys, by the way. So I'm at 2 now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new, and I want you guys to test this. So now this should go 2.2, 2.2, and this should be B.2. Let's save this and have a look at it. Okay, so we just saved it. P4, which is right on 2, 2, 2. We have this P2. We put one in between 2 and 3. You guys, I think we freaking got it. Okay, and what's really nice is we've got a minute to spare. Does anybody have questions in the next minute? All right, tomorrow we're going to continue on with this, and we're going to connect it to the back end. And I apologize for eating and running, or talking and leaving, but we did actually accomplish what we had to, and I think you guys saw the process we went through. Now again, I'll post this video later this afternoon when it's complete. I hope this helps. I will check this code in as well. So probably by 3:30, 4 o'clock, I'll have this all checked in and you guys can have a look at the code. So I'm gonna open the session tomorrow. Hopefully you'll have gone through the code. Hopefully you'll had a look, and any of your questions I wanna answer. So what we did here is we've done everything except for life cycle. So you guys now know React. And again, React's got tons and tons and tons of stuff to it. But you know the basics of React, that you could write a React app. And with the knowledge you have now here with this, you actually can do lookups and searches, and all those lookups and searches should make sense to you, okay? All right, you guys, this has been fun. Sorry to eat and run, but I got a meeting in 1 more minute. Talk to you later. See you later, guys, everyone.